Stop cooking with generic vegetable oil. Stop assuming canola is harmless just because it is common. And if someone told you all cooking oils are pretty much the same and only calories matter, that advice is old, shallow, and missing what newer vascular research has been showing for years. The oil you use is not a neutral choice, not after 60, not when your blood vessels are already dealing with age, stress, stiffness, and years of silent wear. What you pour into a pan can help your arteries stay flexible or slowly make them harder, narrower, and less able to push blood all the way down into your legs and feet. That is where this gets real. Cold feet at night, heavy legs by afternoon, swelling near the ankles, cramping that wakes you up. That tired, dragging feeling when walking starts to feel like a job instead of freedom. These are not random annoyances. They can be signs that blood is not moving well through aging vessels. And today I want to walk you through 5 oils that may help support blood flow in the legs, and a few that many older adults still use every day without realizing the cost. Here's the number to hold in your mind from the very start. In one controlled study involving older adults, the top oil on this list was linked with a 41% improvement in flow-mediated dilation, a measure of how well blood vessels open when blood flow demand rises. That is not a tiny change. That is the difference between vessels that answer the call and vessels that resist it. And please stay with me because the oil at number 1 is already sitting in many kitchens, but most people use it the wrong way at the wrong time and miss the one simple addition that may boost its benefit even more. Before we go deeper, think about your own legs for a second. What is bothering you most right now? Is it cold feet after dinner? Is it swelling when the day gets long? Is it that thick, heavy feeling that makes walking feel slower than it used to? Or maybe it is nighttime cramps that hit out of nowhere and ruin your sleep. Those details matter because circulation problems do not always begin with dramatic pain. They often start quietly with small, daily signs that are easy to brush off until they become your new normal. And that is exactly why this topic matters so much. We are not talking about trendy wellness talk. We are talking about the small, repeated choices that shape the health of the vessel walls inside your body. So let's count this down from helpful to most powerful, and let's keep it practical. Not fantasy, not hype. Real kitchen choices, real use, real patterns. At number 5 is an oil many people in the West barely use, even though it has some very interesting qualities for aging blood vessels. That oil is sesame oil, especially the cold-pressed, unrefined kind, not the strongly toasted version people splash on food at the end for flavor. Sesame oil contains plant compounds that appear to calm inflammatory pathways tied to stiffening in blood vessel walls. And that matters because as the years go by, those vessel walls often lose their smooth, easy response to blood flow. They become more reactive, less flexible, less forgiving. Over time, that makes it harder for blood to move efficiently into the lower legs and feet. If you have never considered sesame oil as part of a circulation-friendly kitchen, do not skip this part, because what it does is more specific than most people realize. One reason sesame oil stands out is that it contains unique plant compounds that are rarely found in other common oils. These compounds appear to reduce certain inflammatory signals connected to the buildup of harmful fats in vessel walls. Think of that buildup like a slow roughening of a smooth road. At first, traffic still moves, then the cracks deepen, then movement gets less smooth, more sluggish, more strained. That is what poor blood vessel health can feel like inside the body. In one study, adults who use sesame oil as a main dietary fat for several weeks showed a drop in oxidative stress markers and an improvement in the function of the inner lining of their blood vessels. That inner lining matters more than most people know. It is the living surface that decides whether a vessel relaxes or tightens, whether blood moves easily or meets resistance, and after 70, that lining often works far less well than it did in middle age. So how do you use sesame oil without ruining its value? Keep it simple. Choose cold-pressed sesame oil for light cooking, not deep frying and not high heat. Use 1 to 2 tablespoons in a meal a few times a week. Let it handle medium heat, not a smoking pan. And if you want a smart pairing, add a pinch of turmeric to the food you cook in it. The compounds in turmeric and the plant compounds in sesame appear to calm different inflammatory roots at the same time. Small move, smart combination. Not magic, but meaningful. And now we move to the oil most people know, but many still use far below the amount that seems to matter. At number 4 is extra virgin olive oil, and yes, many people already use it, but not in a way that truly supports vascular health. Some use too little. Some buy refined versions that taste flat and lack the key compounds. Some save it only for special meals, then go right back to cheap oils the rest of the day. That misses the point. Extra virgin olive oil is not just a flavor choice, it is a biochemical tool. One reason it matters is a natural compound inside it that acts in a way similar to familiar anti-inflammatory drugs, but through food, not pills. For older blood vessels that have spent years under quiet oxidative stress, that anti-inflammatory effect matters because constant low-grade inflammation can make vessel walls tense, irritated, and less willing to expand. It is like running a low fever inside the arteries every day without even knowing it. Extra virgin olive oil also contains powerful antioxidants that help protect LDL cholesterol from oxidation. And once that cholesterol becomes oxidized, it is more likely to settle into vessel walls, help drive narrowing, and worsen blood flow to the legs. In large diet studies, people who consumed generous amounts of extra virgin olive oil showed fewer problems related to poor blood flow in the limbs than those who used much less. The amount is important. A little drizzle now and then may not be enough. A more useful target is around 4 tablespoons spread through the day, on vegetables, over soup, on salads, in medium heat cooking. And here's a useful pairing. Add fresh raw garlic to the same meal. Garlic compounds and olive oil compounds may work together to reduce the stickiness of blood elements, helping flow stay smoother in smaller vessels. If you use the light, refined kind and think it is the same, it is not. The difference is not branding, it is chemistry. And this is where many people suddenly realize why their kitchen habits may not be helping them at all. They think olive oil is olive oil. They think any bottle with olives on the label must be doing the job. But the richer, peppery, extra virgin kind is where the important compounds live. The refined, pale, stripped-down version may be easier on the tongue, but it is also weaker where it counts. People often say, I use olive oil all the time, but when you look closer, it is 1 teaspoon in a pan here, 1 light splash there, and then the rest of the week is filled with seed oils and processed foods. That is not consistent support. That is a cameo appearance. And blood vessels respond to patterns, not occasional gestures. If this is already making you rethink what is on your counter, stay with me, because the next oil might surprise you even more. At number 3 is an oil that spent years being attacked, dismissed, and oversimplified. Coconut oil. But I need to be very clear here. I am talking about virgin, unrefined coconut oil used in a limited and specific way, not giant amounts added to everything. The reason it was heavily criticized is obvious. It is high in saturated fat. But not all saturated fats behave exactly the same in the body, and the fats in coconut oil include a large share of medium-chain triglycerides. These fats are handled differently from the longer-chain saturated fats found in foods like butter and fatty red meat. They are more quickly taken to the liver and used in a different metabolic path. That does not make coconut oil a free-for-all food. It just means the old story was too simple. And when it comes to circulation, the details matter far more than old labels. What makes virgin coconut oil interesting is not that it should replace everything else. It should not. Its value appears to be more targeted than that. One major fat in coconut oil, often discussed in the research, has been linked in some studies to a rise in HDL cholesterol, the kind often called protective, while also lowering markers tied to blood vessel inflammation. Higher HDL may support the body's effort to move cholesterol away from vessel walls. Lower inflammation may help those vessel walls stay calmer and more flexible. Put those together, and you can see why this oil entered the circulation conversation again, after years of being pushed aside. Still, this is not the oil to drown your food in. Keep the dose modest, about 1 to 2 tablespoons a day at most, and not even necessarily every day. Where it shines is in cooking situations where heat is higher and the delicate compounds in extra virgin olive oil would be more likely to break down. Use virgin coconut oil for medium-high heat sautéing or pan cooking when you want stability. Do not turn it into your main oil for every use. That is not the lesson here. The lesson is precision. Use the right tool for the right moment. And if you want a simple pairing, black pepper is worth considering. Some evidence suggests its active compound may help the body absorb certain beneficial fats more effectively. Again, not magic, but smart stacking matters. And now we move to number 2, an oil that remains oddly underused in many homes, even though it may be one of the most practical choices for daily cooking when circulation is the goal. This next one is versatile, steady, and far more impressive than most people realize. At number 2 is avocado oil, especially cold-pressed and unrefined. If you care about leg circulation and still cook mostly with generic vegetable oil, this may be the easiest kitchen upgrade on the whole list. Avocado oil is rich in oleic acid, the same heart-friendly fat that helps make olive oil so respected, and it also contains plant compounds that appear to support both vascular and oxidative balance. One standout here is lutein, usually talked about for eye health, but it also seems to have a role in protecting blood vessel walls from damage. That matters in the smaller vessels feeding the legs and feet, where constant stress, friction, and inflammation can slowly wear down healthy function. Some research has shown that older adults using avocado oil as a main cooking fat had noticeable improvements in small vessel blood flow in the lower body over a period of weeks, with the biggest gains often seen in those who started out with the worst circulation. That last part matters. The people struggling most may have the most room to improve. Avocado oil also performs beautifully in the kitchen because it handles a wide range of temperatures: medium heat, higher heat, everyday cooking. It is flexible without being fragile. A practical target is around 2 tablespoons a day, used in meals across the day. Roast with it, saute with it. Use it in place of oils that offer far less benefit. And if you want a smart pairing, squeeze fresh lemon juice over food cooked in avocado oil. The vitamin C and the acidic brightness may support the way the meal's digested, while also adding another layer of antioxidant support. Simple, fresh, effective. If your legs often feel swollen, heavy, or dull by midday, this is one of the oils that deserves real consideration, not just a passing glance on a grocery shelf. Here's what makes avocado oil so useful for real life. It does not ask you to build your whole kitchen around it. It simply steps in where weaker oils used to sit. Many people who struggle with leg heaviness have cooked with the same cheap oil for decades because it was normal, affordable, and familiar. Then over time, the ankles swell a little more. The skin near the lower legs changes color a little. Walking gets more tiring. Standing feels longer. The legs feel loaded, almost as if they are wrapped in something dense by the middle of the day. And while no single oil fixes everything, changing the daily fat source can become one of those small turns that starts moving the wheel in a better direction. That is why this list is not just theoretical. It is practical, kitchen-level practical. And now we come back to the oil that opened this whole discussion, the one linked in that study to a major jump in vascular responsiveness, the one most people already own, but use in a way that leaves a lot of benefit on the table. Yes, the top spot goes again to extra virgin olive oil, but this time it is not just about the oil itself. It is about the protocol, the timing, the quality, the pattern. In the study that got attention, the benefit did not come from random use. It came from a more structured habit, including a raw dose taken first thing in the morning before other foods got in the way. That matters because when certain olive oil polyphenols are taken on an empty stomach, blood levels may rise more strongly than if the same amount is buried inside a mixed meal. So, if you have been using olive oil casually, what comes next may be the piece you have been missing. The stronger protocol is simple, but the details matter. 1 tablespoon of high-quality extra virgin olive oil first thing in the morning, taken raw before breakfast, before coffee, before the traffic of the day begins. Then more olive oil, bringing the total to around 4 tablespoons through the day, used on meals and in cooking. Why might that first tablespoon matter so much? Because the active polyphenols in truly good olive oil may absorb better when they do not have to compete with other fats and foods. In some findings, taking it in a fasted state led to much higher levels of those compounds in the bloodstream, and that changes the effect from healthy food habit to something closer to a targeted vascular support move. But quality is everything here. Not all extra virgin olive oil is equal. Look for dark glass bottles, recent harvest dates, and real freshness. The oil should have life in it. A slight peppery sting at the back of the throat is not a flaw. It is often the sign that the key compounds are present. Flat oil, dead oil, old oil. Those may still be edible, but they are not giving you the same return. And now here is the small addition that makes this even more interesting. Stir about a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper into that morning spoonful. It sounds unusual, maybe even a little intense. But some research suggests the active compound in black pepper can increase the bioavailability of important plant compounds, helping your body take in more of what makes extra virgin olive oil special. Tiny change, big upgrade. And yes, this is the part many people never here. If you are still here, this is the key message to lock in. Your blood vessels are alive. They are not rigid pipes. They are active tissue, responsive tissue, tissue that reacts to what you feed it every day, sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically. So the heaviness in your legs, the chill in your feet, the swelling around your socks, the cramps that break your sleep, all of that may be your vascular system speaking in the only language it has. Not with words, with symptoms, with signals, with resistance. And the good news is that aging does not automatically cancel improvement. There is no sudden birthday after which your vessels stop responding to better input. They can still change. They can still soften. They can still perform better than they are performing now, but they need the right signals, repeated over time. That means moving away from heavily refined oils used without thought. That means choosing fats with purpose. Sesame oil for light, strategic use, extra virgin olive oil daily, and in enough amount to matter. Virgin coconut oil used carefully where higher heat makes sense. Avocado oil as a dependable workhorse for everyday cooking. And above all, using the top olive oil method with more intention instead of treating it like an afterthought. Do not miss this point. It is not one dramatic meal that changes the future of your legs. It is repetition. Breakfast after breakfast, lunch after lunch, pan after pan. The body keeps score. Quietly at first, then visibly. And if you have been waiting for a sign that nutrition can still matter at your age, this may be it. Let me also say this clearly. The goal is not perfection. The goal is not turning your kitchen into a laboratory. The goal is replacing careless choices with better ones in a way you can actually live with. Start with one swap, just one. Replace refined vegetable oil with avocado oil for cooking, or bring in a real peppery extra virgin olive oil and make it part of breakfast and lunch every day. Or use sesame oil a few times a week in simple dishes where medium heat is enough. Build from there. You do not need a complicated routine to create better conditions for blood flow. You need consistency. You need enough of the right things to matter. And you need to stop telling yourself that the daily oil on your stove is too small to matter, because for aging blood vessels, small daily choices become big long-term outcomes. That's the whole story. The vessel wall responds. The inflammation level shifts. Oxidative stress changes. Flexibility changes. Flow changes. And from that, your daily life changes. Walking feels different. Standing feels different. Even bedtime feels different when your feet are finally warm instead of cold and distant. So if one of these oils surprised you, hold on to that. If one of them is already in your kitchen, use it better. And if the top protocol is new to you, do not brush it off because it sounds too simple. The best interventions are often the ones people ignore because they do not feel dramatic enough. But simple does not mean weak. Simple, repeated, and correctly used can be powerful. Very powerful. And one last thing before you go. Do not let anyone convince you that it is too late for your circulation to improve just because you are in your late 60s, 70s, or beyond. That mindset closes doors that do not need to be closed. Blood vessels can respond, legs can feel lighter, feet can feel warmer, daily movement can become easier, not overnight, not by fantasy, but by shifting the fuel your body sees every day. That is what this entire conversation has been about. Not hype. Not miracle claims, better fuel, better patterns, better odds. So the next time you stand in your kitchen and reach for a bottle, remember that you are not just choosing a cooking fat, you are choosing what kind of message you want to send to your arteries. Calm down or stay irritated. Open up or stay tight. Support flow or quietly fight it. That choice happens faster than a heartbeat, but the effects build over years. If you made it this far, you now know which oils may help support healthier circulation in the legs and how to use them in a smarter way. You know the pairings, you know the timing, you know why quality matters, and you know that your next meal is not a small moment. It is a signal, it is a chance, it is a turning point hiding inside something as ordinary as lunch. So take this seriously, use it, test it in your life, and do not underestimate what a better kitchen can do for an aging body that still wants to move, still wants to walk, and still wants to feel alive.